Hello, greetings and welcome. So, the question is, if you are eternal, why don't you remember before you were born? Now, this is an argument that a few people have put. Somebody put it in my comments on one of my videos. Okay, so we're going to look at this then. It seems quite logical. You know, if you say I'm eternal in time, unlimited in time, clearly I'm not, because I don't remember 1972. I wasn't here. Now, we've got one question of whether the world arises with you, but we won't look at that. We'll just look at a simple argument, just to look at this. And please, if you don't find the argument convincing, please put it in the comments. We can chat about it. Now, the idea is, first, in non-duality, consciousness is always present. So the first step that we need to get out of the way is that you're conscious during deep sleep. So it's not an absence of awareness, it's an awareness of absence. So you're aware of nothing. And because there's nothing to punctuate this, you just don't see any passage of time, and it seems like you're not there. But throughout, all the cultures in the world, even before we have neuroscience and be able to scan the brain under sleep conditions, people had the concept of deep sleep. If they didn't have a concept of deep sleep, if they didn't feel there was some time when there were no dreams, you would be awake, and then you would dream, and then you would wake up again. But somehow, even before we had neuroscience, people knew that there was sleep, dreamless sleep, sleep with dreams, and then waking. So, and also when you feel that you've slept well is the deep sleep part, the part where you're not there, apparently, or you are there, but you've just got nothing objective to look at. So clearly there is some presence there. Otherwise we wouldn't be aware of this deep sleep part until they developed neuroscience and they can see the different stages of sleep. Now, so we are conscious throughout deep sleep. So we're conscious apparently now from the day we're born to the day we die. All of that time we're actually conscious. Now, when we talk about unconsciousness, we're not talking about unconsciousness anymore. We're talking about you being in a state where the brain or the mind is not producing anything for you to be aware of. So that's what unconsciousness is. It's not that the awareness has gone. It's kind of a bit unfortunate that we call it unconsciousness, but there we go. So consciousness is always there. Now, okay, so why did it start when I was born? That was when I became aware, and I assume it will disappear when I die. Let's take the seconds, bit there. So when I die, we don't know if it'll go. So we can't say that it does go. It might not. So there's no point saying, and it will go when I die, because if the brain doesn't produce consciousness, and I made another video about that, then there's no reason why the death of the brain would switch off the consciousness. I gave an analogy of a laptop computer connecting to the internet. When you shut down the laptop computer, the internet doesn't disappear. So maybe the brain is working as a filter rather than, or a conduit, rather than producing consciousness as the mainstream viewpoint tells us. Now, okay, so that one's easy. So far, so good. Now, the difficult one is before we're born. It's quite... It seems like it's, yes, definitely, I cannot remember before I was born. Some people say that okay, I have previous lives, and there are people who can remember previous lives. But for this analysis, we're not going to do anything. We're not going to look at anything that might be considered kind of supernatural or beyond. I think it's important to work from kind of, as much as possible, generally accepted ideas, and previous lives, and people remembering previous lives, they could be challenged. So we're not going to use that as an argument, but clearly it's a good argument depending how much you believe in reincarnation. Okay, so not taking that into account, I became aware when I was born, but you didn't actually. You probably did actually. You were probably aware when you were born. Now, but I don't remember that. The argument that I wasn't aware in the early 70s because I didn't exist. Because I have no memories of existing, it doesn't work, because nobody, I think, maybe some people, but in general, we don't remember our early years. I remember about when I was 3 years old, and before that, I don't remember anything. I might have some false memories, things that I've reconstructed or something like that, but I have no memory of when I was 2, and yet people tell me I existed. So I existed, and I was probably conscious as well when I was a baby. Babies look conscious. I'm not a psychologist, but I remember from about 3, and we start counting the age at 0. So clearly 0, 1, 2, 3, and I was around. But, people tell me, my parents tell me, and also we start counting it, before I became apparently aware, before I apparently existed, according to the argument that I didn't exist before I was born because I don't remember it. If you stick to this argument, then you say, well, you also didn't exist before you were 3. Now, it's speculation, yes, that therefore you could have existed before. But the whole point of this argument is to just say that if the brain doesn't produce consciousness, and if you were aware before your earliest memories, then you could have been aware even longer before that. And maybe we will always be aware. The idea that we talk about infinity, so infinity, there's different types of infinity in mathematics, but we're not really talking about infinity and being eternally aware. What we're talking about is there being no limitations in time to you. When we go further into this, we see that time is a construct of the mind. And this isn't just from non-duality and some New Age thing. It comes from Western philosophy, Kant and Schopenhauer. It comes from science and mathematics, mathematical modeling, Donald Hoffman saying that the time and space is like a simulation. It's kind of part of the headset that we wear to understand the world. It comes from Einstein, not completely, of course. He said that time and space exist, space-time continuum, but the flow of time, because in relativity everything exists at once, he said that the flow of time is a stubbornly persistent illusion. And so this flowing of time is created by the mind. Now, and this also comes from Advaita Vedanta and ancient musings on this, ancient philosophers who were amazing philosophers. They didn't have the internet. They had a lot of time on their hands. And they were debating with the Buddhists for 1,000 years, trying to iron out all these little details. It just shows how much time monks have on their hands, a few thousand years ago. So So this idea that eventually we come to the idea that time doesn't really exist. It's kind of like the eternal now is all that does exist, and all the past and all the future exists in the present, kind of enfolded in the present, and part of our present experience. The present being creating itself anew every moment. But we're going off the subject now. So what I wanted to say in this video was that the argument that I didn't exist before I was born, I wasn't conscious before I was born, because I don't remember, doesn't work. Because if that argument is good, then you would say, well, I didn't exist before I was 3 because I don't remember. You clearly were. You clearly did exist before you were 3. And did you exist before that your body was born? Well, if the body doesn't produce consciousness, then yes, you did as well. Because there's no reason why consciousness would be created when your body's created, or disappear when your body disappears. Just like the internet existed before you bought your laptop, and it will continue to exist when that laptop's dead and it's in the skip. So, tell me what you think of the argument. Feel free to say whatever you want. Challenge it, or if you like it, also say something, if please. That would be very nice to see if you think that it's a good argument. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.